Friday night. You know what it is. You know what time it is. It is time for the real deal in sports. We're going to be talking NFL divisional playoffs heading up this weekend. We got 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. We'll be diving a little bit deeper into the 49ers Packers as well as Ravens and Texans. We're going to be talking about these 2 games in better detail. Well, as tomorrow night, Saturday night, we are reviewing these games as well as previewing Sunday's games as well. That's the idea. We got some coaches off the table. We got some coaches that are about ready to be off the table as well. Belichick, his second interview in Atlanta. Things are getting pretty serious for on a second interview. So why waste any time? Here we go. Packers, Niners tomorrow evening. It is the marquee matchup of the day. Ravens, Texas is good. Packers, Niners is just a little bit better. In reviewing film and kind of looking at this game ahead of time and kind of seeing how we got to where we got here, Jordan Love, this is his first year playing quarterback for the full year. Jordan Love hasn't been hit in the face lately. He got hit in the face by the Giants quite a bit and threw an interception and only 1 touchdown, and Packers lost to Tommy DeVito and the Giants on Monday night. A very important game, by the way. Dallas didn't try to hit him in the face. Dallas got cute. Dropping Parsons into coverage, trying to play these unique looks to try to confuse. I think it was to try to confuse Jordan Love, but reality, Jordan Love didn't get confused. Jordan Love was not confused regarding anything that Dallas threw at him because he was hot. He was on fire. He knew what he was going to get to, and he knew kind of where everything was going, what he wanted to do. He had his checkdowns ready to go. In that game, I got concerned on the first 3rd and 9 where he hit Romeo Doubs for 22 yards. I was like, that's not a third down coverage. That is not third down coverage. That's not a third down defense. And Love ate it up. I firmly believe the San Francisco 49ers are still upset that they got beat last year in the NFC Championship game. I firmly believe in my heart of hearts they are still pissed off that Purdy got hurt. CMC was the emergency quarterback. Josh Johnson got hurt. They didn't have a quarterback for that game. How are you supposed to win a game when you don't have a quarterback? I sincerely believe that the Niners have so much behind them in anger and angst. They're like that 13-year-old teenager from the early 2000s that is only listening to Under Oath and only listening to Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, that they're ready to explode at any moment. If you mention anything about their shoes or anything, they're ready to explode on you. That's the 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers are 60 minutes away from an NFC Championship game where they're healthy. I'm going to emphasize that healthy point. CMC has been out for 2 weeks. He didn't play week 18, which is fine. They had last week off. CMC is healthy for the first time in a long time. When you have a healthy Christian McCaffrey, the best running back in football, the best offensive player in football, things are going to happen that you don't want to happen. I'm sorry, Green Bay Packer fans. I'm sorry, Packers. It was cute. It's going to be a similar game. What the Packers did to the Cowboys, the Niners are going to do to the Packers. This is a team that can't beat Kyle Shanahan. This is a team that can't beat the 49ers. There's just nothing there. They can't do it. I am very, very excited for this game. Saturday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, I believe. I think it's 8:15 Eastern Time, something like that. It's in Santa Clara, so it might be 7 o'clock Santa Clara, which is it's not 9 o'clock, it's 8 o'clock, so 6 o'clock in Santa Clara, so it's at 8 o'clock, 7. It's a later start. I think this is going to be great for the 49ers. I think it's going to be great for football. I think the 49ers are going to showcase why they are the best team in football. They had some ups and downs. The Minnesota game and the Cleveland game, people want to point out. Cleveland's defense at that time was just getting talked about as scary. But after that game, people realized their defense is scary, and their offense did just enough. It was 17-13. Games like that, that's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not. Ravens and Texans will be probably the better of the games. I think that will be incredibly close. I don't believe Houston has enough firepower. Excuse me. to get over the hump and to get past this team. The Ravens are ready to rock. The Ravens are ready to roll. Lamar Jackson is talking exclusively and extensively how he wants to win a Super Bowl. Dangerous. Dangerous team. Be prepared for good football on Saturday. It's going to be great football. You got ESPN and Fox, so the presentations are going to be a little bit better. No Peacock, no CBS. No, we're saving that for Sunday night. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a great Saturday of football. I love when they do just a game in the afternoon, game in the evening, like game early afternoon. I think it's like 2 o'clock start. You know what? Instead of me guessing, let's do what most logical people will do. We're going to go to ESPN.go.com. I still do ESPN.go. Oh, it's not just ESPN now. It used to be ESPN.go.com. Let's dive into football. We are going to go with a schedule for tomorrow. Oh, here we go. These are times listed. Where are my listings at here? Time. Okay. So we got, I think it is Central Time. We have Houston and Baltimore at 3:30. So a little bit later in the afternoon, a good afternoon start. And then it is Saturday Night Football in San Francisco, a 7:15 start on Fox. Sunday is a little bit earlier. It is a 2 and a 5:30 start. So NBC has the 2 o'clock game on Sunday. And then Kansas City Buffalo is on CBS, and that is the later game. We will definitely talk about those games in depth tomorrow night after we finish up this Green Bay and San Francisco game. We will be streaming that last part of that game. It'll be 9 o'clock. We'll be hopping on. So the last probably quarter of the game, last fourth quarter, we will be streaming. We'll be talking about that game and kind of going through what we've expected, what we've seen, and what we can expect. I mean, that's the biggest thing about this is what can we expect? What can we see out of these teams, and to kind of go from there. It's just going to be a very good game of football, and if you're like me, you're just excited for this game. And then we'll start diving into Sunday will be a big conference championship preview game. We will be talking conference championship games huge. You're probably wondering why I don't do this completely through the week. I work a full-time job. I'm a full-time single dad. Well, allow me to reintroduce myself to you. My name is Nathan Deal. I'm currently a student at Full Sail University based out of Orlando, Florida, living in Wisconsin doing an online class. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to sneeze. Again, live TV. How do they do it on TV? What do these guys do? Like, I'm watching NBA Countdown. What would Kendrick Perkins do if he has to sneeze right now? Like, what if Richard Jefferson has to sneeze? I noticed on NBA Countdown, like, they aren't like dressed to the nine. Like, they look nice, but it's definitely not like suits and stuff. They have like a jacket, but not like a tie. Great game was on NBA side. We're gonna sidestep here because I like to keep things on your toes and keep you guessing because we are gonna dive a little deeper into Green Bay and San Francisco here in just a few minutes. Stay tuned for that. Basketball. I haven't talked about basketball. This is sports. There it is right there. This is sports, so we will be talking about all sports at some point. Oh, my hair is a little... Yeah, a little messed up out of here, but that's all right. Nuggets beat up on the Celtics, 102-100, snapping a 26-game winning streak, in Boston at home for the Celtics. Tatum and Brown did not shoot the ball very well for Boston, and that hurts. Boston has some great players, and they need to do very well. But Denver did their thing the last 4 minutes of the game, only giving up 2 points. I think I need to go out of the camera for this. It's Friday night. We're having fun on Friday nights. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe as always. Make sure that if you're doing something somewhere, anywhere, you're safe. do things in the comfort of your own home. I'm a big fan of saving money. I like it when I can just do a little bit of saving money. We'll check the phone. Have a little bit of fun. Enjoy yourselves. Watch your sports at home. We got Lakers coming on tonight. No play by play for that. I will definitely be diving into a college basketball game some point in February to do a half of play by play, a half of color to kind of get an idea of what we're doing. And I'll pick the game out ahead of time so I have news and notes, and I'll be able to keep track of things going on and just kind of go from there. It's gonna be a little bit. It's gonna be fun to do, and we're gonna have fun trying it. That's definitely on the docket for February at some point. But a couple things have happened in the NFL. Antonio Pierce got the interim tag lifted. The first two head coaching signings this offseason, Gerard Mayo and Antonio Pierce, both former linebackers in the NFL, both played significant careers. Both, again, I don't want to go. I'm not going to be part of the go broke. We are going to mention it. It's still a conversation to be had. They are the first two coaches off the board, first two franchises off the board, hired black coaches. Now things are coming into place. Atlanta is circling Bill Belichick. That was it. A lot of people, a lot of things I've read, especially regarding Belichick, is quarterbacking. Running a more established quarterback. Atlanta's missing it. Atlanta has a good defense. Their defense is solid. It is a top 15 defense already. It is a defense that is ready to take the next step to where they need to go. Belichick can take them to the next level. Offensively, Belichick isn't an offensive guru or anything along that line. I am interested to see. There we go. I'm interested to see if Belichick goes to Atlanta because Atlanta is in a bad division. They can instantly win the division next year. They could have won it this year if Desmond Ridder or Taylor Heineke played solid football. It didn't happen. But Belichick coming in puts the Falcons in that playoff bracket immediately where Tampa Bay is, and because I believe Baker Mayfield moves on. I believe there will be a team will pay Baker Mayfield the money to bring Baker Mayfield in. Carolina, it was a failed experiment in Carolina, a failed experiment in Los Angeles with the Rams. I would almost say Tennessee. Tennessee needs a quarterback, and Baker is winning. He continues to bring wins to a franchise and get them to the playoffs. He needs to play with passion, and I believe the AFC South gives him just enough of a separation to where Baker Mayfield going to Tennessee could make sense, and the new head coach would want Baker Mayfield. He just gives something, especially if they can upset Detroit. Tampa Bay getting to the NFC Championship game this year would be an incredible story for Baker Mayfield, giving him the confidence he needs for next year. I'm definitely excited about that. We're having fun. Plain and simple, we're going to talk about this stuff. Going back to Green Bay and San Francisco. Green Bay hasn't been hit in the mouth lately. I believe if you hit Jordan Love in the face, knock him down a couple times, not cheap shots, no cheap shots. We're playing fair within the realm of whistle to whistle. Chase Young, Nick Bosa, if they hit Jordan Love just enough times, I believe Jordan Love is going to face plant completely. I think he's going to rush his throws, and instead of hitting an open Romeo Dobbs, it's going to sail, or it's going to be short. Because that is one thing I noticed immediately in that Cowboy game. The Cowboys didn't hit him. Lawrence did a fantastic job of shutting Aaron Jones down early, but not consistently. And that's where the 49ers just have that defense that is just built to stop the run, built to stop the pass, and built to be the best defense in the NFL. I believe that's what's going to happen. also want to see how Kyle Shanahan game plans this offense. I want to see if they are going to go and do the motion stuff that they've patented for so many years, but now that Matt LaFleur uses. This will be a very much like a team one versus team 1B type situation where the 49ers are going to get out there. They're not going to be outmanned. They're not going to be outgunned. The personnel for Green Bay is not better than the 49ers personnel. Ayuk and Debo are not are 1A and 1B receivers. Brandon Ayuk really has stepped into that wide receiver 2 spot in fantasy football. If you take Ayuk in the middle of the rounds of fantasy football, you should be very happy because he will get you 8 catches a game occasionally. 8 catches, 80 yards, maybe a touchdown. 8 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown is 24 points. You can't be sad about 880 and a tutty. Those are even 8 for 80 is a beautiful game, and that's a typical Ayuk game. He can go off though for a bigger game, do a 5 for 135. Those games with Ayuk can happen. So he is a solid wide receiver too, and Debo has so much versatility and so many things that he can do. That as long as he's healthy, as long as you have Debo Samuel healthy, you get there. This team has had 2 weeks off to rest up, to get healthy, to be prepared. They're going to be very prepared. And that's one thing about a Kyle Shanahan team. They are prepared. This isn't going to be, I don't believe this is going to be a close game. I think this will be like 37-20, 28-10, something to that effect. I think the defense with Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw are really going to get after it. And they're going to hit Romeo Doubs once or twice. These young receivers haven't been hit. And we talk as if football is patty cake bakers. Man, football is a violent game. It is a violent sport. It is a violent game. And if they aren't getting hit, which I think Tampa Bay hit them. Tampa Bay hit them and Tampa Bay won. Tampa Bay played aggressive. They hit them and Tampa Bay won. Clearly, what needs to be done is San Francisco needs to hit Green Bay in the face enough and often enough. Let's have some fun with it. We're definitely gonna have. It's definitely gonna be a great day of football. Antonio Pierce is off the market. The Vegas Raiders have taken the interim tag off of Antonio Pierce. The former linebacker stepped in midseason when Josh McDaniels was unceremoniously let go, led the team to a 5-4 record, and won over the locker room in a big way. The locker room advocated hard to have Antonio Pierce come back. So now next year, all eyes are going to be on Las Vegas to see if Antonio Pierce can take the momentum from this year, 5-4 mark, and take it to a 10-7 mark and get a wild card spot in the playoffs. Every year, everybody's going to be looking at the Chiefs to continue to win, and the Chiefs at 11-6 this year, losing to Las Vegas, losing to Denver, not the best year for Kansas City. But we'll talk about Kansas City in greater detail on Saturday night when we talk about these games and previewing the games for Sunday. We're 18 minutes in. How y'all doing? It is Friday night here on the Real Deal in Sports. My name is Nathan Deal, and we are talking everything related to the NFL. Dive into a little NBA. Might talk a little free agency baseball. A couple signings have happened. And I do want to point out kind of the impact of local teams here in Wisconsin. I am in Madison, Wisconsin, so we're talking about this right now. From Wisconsin, we're having a little bit of fun this evening, Friday night in Wisconsin. It's snowing out. It's cold. We got -10 wind chill. Stay inside, bundle up, watch Netflix. Don't need to go outside. Wisconsin Badgers had a tough week. They lost to Penn State, and Penn State stormed the court. I had a great What's the Deal earlier today. I posted we're going to have a great What's the Deal, and unfortunately, I kind of forgot what that was. And I thought I wrote it down, but I guess I didn't. I don't think it had anything to do with the Packers and 49ers. I don't think it did. But we'll have a great What's the Deal as it comes up. I think we might be talking NFL coaches at this point to see if Harbaugh goes to the Chargers and if Belichick goes to the Falcons. So we'd be looking at Seattle, Tennessee, Washington, and Carolina. Those ones, I believe, a good team. I think Seattle would bring in Mike Vrabel. I think Mike Vrabel in Seattle makes a lot of sense. We're talking NFL coaches. If you're popping on, we're talking NFL coaches. I'm gonna pop on to the X. We're talking about the coaching. Let's go. We're talking NFL coaches. Okay. Got too many things on my desk here, but I'm posting this on here. We're talking NFL coaches right now. We are diving into this right here, right now. Now's the time. We're going to talk about this. Belichick was let go from New England, and New England immediately activated their succession plan that they had filed with the NFL. Gerard Mayo, in his latest contract, signed and stated that he would be the next head coach of the New England Patriots if Belichick were to be retire or to be removed as coach. Belichick gone to New England. Gerard Mayo already hired. So New England was open for about a day. And when I talked about this in detail a while ago, I thought Mike Vrabel was really going to get a strong consideration, but Gerard Mayo had it in his contract, and I didn't realize that. I think I heard that a couple years ago. I think I heard it last year before the season when New England was kind of starting to slip a little bit. Mac Jones wasn't performing well. Bailey Zappi wasn't there. And I think it was mentioned probably last year that Gerard Mayo had in his contract that he would be the successor to Belichick. So that was followed with the NFL. The NFL accepted that succession plan, and they moved forward with it. Now we have officially the second head coach off the market. Antonio Pierce came to terms today. He is now taking off that interim tag, and he is now the full-on head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. It'll be very interesting to see how that goes. He had a great relationship with the locker room. In the locker room, he won them over. Pierce was able to win over management, a 5-4 record. Not complaining about that. You go 5-4 in the NFL, you're winning more games than you're losing, and that's important. They beat Kansas City, and they won some other games as well. Big signing by Vegas, making sure they have their coach locked in. The team believes in them, and if as you see a lot of these coaches, especially a lot of these coaches, if the team believes in the coach, they win games. I think Pittsburgh is the prime example of this. Pittsburgh wasn't supposed to be good this year. Some of these games they played, they were hot garbage. They were not good. They snuck into the playoffs by the hair of their chinny chin chin. Mike Tomlin still has yet to have a losing season. He doesn't lose games. He's won a couple Super Bowls back in the day with Ben Roethlisberger and those teams way back when. He hasn't done anything recently, but he's still there. I bring this up because we have this conversation regarding Mike McCarthy after the disappointing game against the Packers and how the season had ended. There was a source that came out and said that McCarthy would be judged based on the last game. But if you look at Jerry Jones' track record, Jerry Jones doesn't fire anybody right away. He got rid of Chan Gailey and Dave Campo. Those were horrible hires. I remember those when I was a kid, and I'm just like, Chan who? Dave what? Not Dave Wanstead, right? Dave Campo? Who's Dave Campo? I don't even know who Dave Campo is. But those showed that Jerry Jones doesn't make rash decisions. It might look like he does, but end of the day, Jerry Jones does not make rash decisions. Excuse me. And this was definitely McCarthy giving the 48 hours that he needs. Talk with the team. The team talked with him. He sat down with Jones for 3 hours. My goodness, if I talk to anybody for 3 hours, I'm ready to take a nap, and I'm ready to have nachos of some kind. Which, by the way, in Wisconsin, the Badgers are facing off against Ohio State on Sunday. Yours truly will be at the meet. We're going to be watching Ohio State going up against the Wisconsin Badgers in wrestling. That's what's happening in the real deal in sports. We're talking all sports, NFL, college, professional, anything and everything in between. But right now, this second, we're talking the NFL coaching carousel that is currently going on. Two teams are off the market: the New England Patriots and the Las Vegas Raiders. They have their coaches. They are both individuals are familiar with the organizations, familiar with the players. There shouldn't really be too much dissension or distortion or disruption, excuse me, amongst amongst the players, amongst this team. Now, the head coaches can come in and start to implement their philosophy little by little by little. Good for them. Still have a few positions opening. Fun little nugget the other day. Kingsbury, the offensive assistant at the University of Southern California, head coach Lincoln Riley, had received a request for an interview, not for a head coaching role. He was the former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals with Kyler Murray, but Kingsbury got a little offense coordinator opportunity here, a little conversation at least, with the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears own the number one pick in the draft, and odds-on favorite is former Heisman Trophy winner, USC quarterback Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, I've always been a fan of. I thought he played great football at Oklahoma, and I thought he played great at USC. I think his second year, this past year, he was up and down, and he showed a lot of emotion. And I believe that upsets quite a few people. I don't think the average fan understands the emotion within sports, especially within sports of a 20 to 21-year-old. These are 20 to 22-year-old kids. I can call them kids. I'm 35, so I'm not in their generation. I'm a solid millennial. I live by my phone, die by my phone. I'm okay with that, but I don't live and die by avocado toast. You can't get me to eat avocado. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not doing it. Caleb Williams is an incredible quarterback. He has a lot of emotion. He is a pure pocket passer. He is not looking to scramble and run. Cliff Kingsbury wants to build an offense to where you sit in the pocket and you throw the ball. He comes from Texas Tech. He was a great quarterback at Texas Tech. Remember watching his games in college. Huge Kingsbury fan. Seriously, loved Cliff Kingsbury. Thought he was a fantastic quarterback at Texas Tech. Him with Michael Crabtree. Oh, those games against Texas. Chef's kiss back in the day. Like 2008. 2008-ish? Yeah, 2008-ish. Great games. Kingsbury meeting with the Chicago Bears. Now, this leak of the news, this like, oh, by the way, Kingsbury's meeting with the Bears. Lot of movement, especially with the odds makers on number one pick. The Bears have an opportunity here. We're talking NFL coaches, so we're going to talk about a little bit about the Bears. We're going to talk about these other teams here. We're going to get there. Tonight's a coaches tonight, and then we will get back into Packers 49ers in a little bit, and we will be talking about why I think the 49ers have just the right moxie. I'm going back 1940 gangsters on everybody. They have the moxie to get by the Packers, and I'll explain in a little bit. Stay tuned. But the Bears fired the offensive staff. They need a new offensive. They recognize, okay, Eberflus, we're going to give him another year. He has not performed well as a head coach. You want to talk about not pulling the trigger? What needs to happen to get rid of Eberflus in Chicago? What needs that? I don't know. Eberflus is getting a new offensive team, which, honestly, if you're Justin Fields, you want to get traded. You want to get out of there. But also, you need to know, teams want Justin Fields. Justin Fields is a very capable quarterback. And I come from the age of, I don't want 1 to 2 year players. You need 3 years to grow a program. I firmly believe it takes 3 years to grow a program, to grow a football team, to get your offensive system in place, to get your defensive system in place. Because the first year you're with a new coach and a new coordinator, you're learning. You have to learn verbiage. You have to learn scheme. Verbiage and scheme are going to take up the majority of your learning time. And then when you're practicing, it's going to be a lot of an extra 5 seconds between plays. Now you're wondering, Nate, 5 seconds is a long time. You know what? When you have a 3 hour practice and that 5 seconds in between play calling to where you have to break it down just an extra bit will cause a lot of time being wasted. And you only have a certain amount of time due to the collective bargaining agreement that the players have. They're not, these practices aren't like they were in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, where it is full bore 100% of the time, 2 a days, 3 a days back in the 70s. You want to watch how football was? Pop on Disney Plus, type in Invincible with Mark Wahlberg as Vince Papale. Watch that movie, get an idea of what practicing was like in the NFL in the 70s, and then look and see how practices are today. There isn't more of the definition of night and day, polar opposite I've ever seen. You need time, and owners want to win now. Unfortunately, if you're Carolina, you can't be in a win now mode. If you're Carolina, if you're Chicago, Tennessee, you need to bring in one of these coaches offensively. So I'm getting back to Chicago here offensively with Cliff Kingsbury coming in. He's going to bring his offense that he ran with the Arizona Cardinals. Ups and downs. Arizona had moments where they looked like a great team. Kyler Murray understood the offense because it was the same offense he ran at Oklahoma when Kingsbury was there. I do believe that Kingsbury could bring an offense that makes sense to either Justin Fields or Caleb Williams to run. But if you're Justin Fields, you want to get out of there. If you're Justin Fields, you want to find a spot where you can learn. He's still incredibly young. Justin Fields is insanely young. Hello, ESPN.go.com. We are going to take a look. It is not .go. I apologize. I grew up in the 2000s where they were owned. We're going to check out the Bears. I just want to see Justin Fields real quick. I want to see how old Mr. Fields is. Okay. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a real conversation about the Chicago Bears offense and Justin Fields. Justin Fields is 24 years old. If you are an offensive team and you want 13 years of success, you look at Justin Fields and say, well, 2 to 3 years, learn and understand the offense more than anybody. I hate the idea of these young quarterbacks. It's happening with Chicago, and this is a really big issue. I hate when teams are like, oh, offense is working, get a new coordinator. Okay. Not really how it works. You can understand the offense is stagnant, like Buffalo this year. Buffalo got rid of Ken Dorsey. The offense had kind of stalled out. Too much pressure was on Josh Allen. New coordinator comes in, and they start running the football. Now, suddenly, Josh Allen is all-world, all-galaxy Josh Allen, which I've talked about before. Josh Allen for president, Josh Allen for governor, wherever you want to put Josh Allen at, sign me up. Best quarterback in this universe. No other individual, no other alien, no other planet. Nobody plays the position of quarterback better than Josh Allen. That is a fact. And it's proven when you can run the football, giving him an opportunity to be a little bit more impulsive, a little bit more on the edge. That's what you need from Josh Allen, though. You need him to be that person. The Bears bring in Cliff Kingsbury. They need to be honest with themselves. The ownership, GM, they need to be honest. They bring in Cliff Kingsbury. Okay, we'll do Caleb Williams. We'll start fresh. Start fresh. Because you can't do this to Justin Fields. You can't. Justin Fields is 24 years old. Young. I think Bo Nix is goddamn older than him, and Bo Nix is going to get drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. By the way, make sure you check out our draft coverage that we'll be talking about more in depth coming up in February. We'll be going through teams and needs and wants, talking about potential fits. We'll be doing that in February. Circling back, NFL coaches, Cliff Kingsbury, if he goes If he goes to the Bears and he signs on as their offensive coordinator, they need to take Caleb Williams. But then Bears ownership needs to realize 2 years. You need to spend 2 years implementing the offense, getting this offense ready to go with between Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Khalil Herbert. There are so many great pieces. Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet. There are so many pieces on this Bears offense that look great. But you need to take a long look in the mirror if you're the Chicago Bears and realize 2 years. 2 full years before we can judge Kingsbury and Caleb Williams. I would have said the same thing if I would have had the real deal in sports last year. We talked Houston Texans, D'Amico Ryans, and C.J. Stroud. I would have said the same thing. Give it 2 years. 2 years before you start to really critique coaching, play calling, all that stuff. But Bobby Slowick in that offense has been rolling. That doesn't happen. Houston, you know, you can do your graphing and all that stuff, and you have your lines and everything. One thing about graphs and data points on it is if you have your average, it's a nice line. Everything is right where it should be. The average percentage of coaches that make playoffs their first year, second year, third year tends to go up. But what happens is you have a data point that's an outlier. That is all the way out here or somewhere like that. That's D'Amico Ryans. He went into the perfect spot, perfect situation, and did the perfect thing. He got the best coordinator he could in Bobby Slowick. He ran the defense the best that he could because he's a defensive guy. D'Amico Ryans was the former defensive coordinator of the 49ers. Okay. Great. Fantastic. Lovely. They made it work. CJ Stroud got injured. If CJ Stroud doesn't get injured, he's in conversation, serious conversation for MVP. He had that type of year. Nothing good happened on the phone. Dang it. I'm going to need to go get a beverage here in a second. We got a few more minutes. We've been on for 37 minutes now on Friday night. Thank you all for joining us here. This has been a fantastic Friday night in sports. We are talking NFL coaches right now before we dive back in later, talking about how the 49ers can get the advantage over Jordan Love. And how do they get that advantage? I'll tell you in a little bit. Stay tuned. We'll talk about Jordan Love and what he needs to do to avoid that 49er advantage and how Jordan Love can go on the road again, get his second career playoff win. Packers are favored a little bit. But before we dive too much into that, let's get back to Cliff Kingsbury, to the Bears, and Caleb Williams being drafted number 1 overall. This is playing the hand of the Bears. This information leaking, this getting out there that Cliff Kingsbury is meeting with the Bears. If whoever leaked that information, if you're a Bears fan, you should be pissed. Bringing Cliff Kingsbury in on the down low, great. But now you have to think of where's the landing spot for Justin Fields. I'm not going to spend an hour talking about what teams need Justin Fields or where he needs to go. My defense of Justin Fields is this. He is a 1,000-yard runner in an offense that will allow him to run. He's a 3,000-yard passer if you allow him to pass. 30 touchdowns through the air and 10 on the ground. Guarantee it within the next 3 years. By the time he's 27, Justin Fields should be 3,000 through the air, 1,000 on the ground, 30 through the air, 10 on the ground, and be a top 3 MVP every year. Because those numbers are fantastic, and most quarterbacks don't do that. It's about the longevity. I know what's the deal is. I know what it is. I'm going to post it on X as well so everybody knows. But I'm going to go get something to drink. It is 39 minutes into the stream. Your boy's a little thirsty. We're gonna enjoy the background behind me and my beautiful wall, my windows. Here in Wisconsin, it is 10 below outside. We're not going outside. We are not partying. We are not going anywhere. We're staying in tonight, Friday night. We got Lakers and the Nets on ESPN. Up a quick 4-0 with 10 minutes to go. So not even 2 minutes into this game yet. Miss at the hoop. Oh, looked like we had a little foul there on Anthony Davis. We will be definitely checking on that game as well. Lakers and Nets, a little bit exciting. So we'll kind of casually check that. LeBron to AD with a very casual alley to the oop. Oh, thank you. Dinwiddie at the line. This is the first. It's always weird watching Austin Reeves play. Always weird. Dorian Finney-Smith, not Spencer Dinwiddie. My apologies to all the Spencer Dinwiddie fans out there. My bad. We will casually be checking on this game. It is 4-1 with 10:18. It's 10:18. You know what that means. 10:18 left in the game. That is the best time, best day of the year. Yours truly's birthday. We'll have a great birthday celebration this year on 10:18. Hopefully, we're taking the real deal in sports big time, statewide. We are worldwide right now, but we want to go big with the real deal in sports. So I'm be right back here in just a moment. Y'all enjoy. And that was a lovely commercial break. Thank you all for appreciating that. Um, NFL coaches. Uh, Belichick has had two interviews in Atlanta. Atlanta has interviewed Jim Harbaugh twice. I believe Harbaugh will be in Los Angeles. I think the Chargers are the best fit. And that's exactly what he needs to. All right. Let's talk about Bill Belichick and why it's only circled around Atlanta and not really focusing on any other teams. I have a couple theories on this and a couple things that really matriculated over the last couple days, especially with free agency. So we're going to talk coaches and we're going to shift a little bit into free agency as well because the free agent market, especially quarterback wise, is what's really, I think, going to determine these last few positions and what's going to happen. So we're going to dive into that here. Happy Friday, everybody. This is The Real Deal in Sports. My name is Nathan. When we are doing this live from Wisconsin, I am a Full Sail University sports broadcasting student. The purpose of this show, the purpose of this live stream, we're 45 minutes in. Good evening, everybody. The purpose of this is to prove that I can talk sports for an extended period of time on different topics and not just circling around the same ones. Just a lot of them have a lot of different things to talk about. NFL playoffs, divisional round. We are talking Packers, 49ers in a little bit. And then we'll talk a little bit about Ravens and Texans as well. We'll make sure we get those done. You do not want to miss my picks of the evening and my What's the Deal. If you're unfamiliar with What's the Deal, my name is Nathan Deal. I'm the real deal in sports. Similar to Scott Van Pelt's One Big Thing, definitely, or Peter Griffin's grinds my gears. It is that last little bit, that last thing of the night that I want to just end with. I have a great, not a great, but it's something that I find interesting. And I want to talk about it because there's a lot of things that I see in this that just don't make a lot of sense. And that is for me just to kind of, not my rant and raves. I do that throughout the whole thing. It's my show. I can rant and rave as much as I like for as long as I want with whoever I want to do it with. Yeah, we'll think about that one again, but we won't do all that. We're talking NFL coaches right now because it is super important. Openings still available. Washington, Carolina, Tennessee, Atlanta, Chargers, and the Seahawks. It was a 7-ish, right? Commanders, Panthers, Titans, Falcons, Chargers, Seahawks. 6-ish? Yeah, so we have about 6-ish available coaching positions in the NFL open. Some great head coaches are still available. Pete Carroll won a Super Bowl. Jim Harbaugh has been to a Super Bowl already. And he won a national championship with Michigan this past year. This past year, Harbaugh led the University of Michigan to a national championship in the college football playoff, beating Alabama and a very resurgent and very gritty Washington Husky team. And the biggest name available, 24 years in New England, ride or die with Senor Tom Brady, the defensive mastermind himself, former head coach of the New York Jets, Cleveland Browns, the New York Giants Super Bowl winning teams as a defensive coordinator, Bill freaking Belichick, baby. He's available. The assumption heading in, before everything started moving, before the wildcard games, the belief was that Belichick would circle around Atlanta. I've agreed the whole time. I think Atlanta is a great fit for Belichick. I think it's a better fit for like a Frank Smith or a Ben Johnson. Unfortunately, though, the new rules within the CBA do not allow current coaches and current teams in the playoffs to do individual interviews, not virtual, like in-person interviews till after the divisional round. Ben Johnson is being pigeonholed by this rule. Bobby Slowick being pigeonholed by this rule. But I think Slowick, I mentioned his name a couple times already, but I don't think Bobby Slowick is going to leave. I think it's going to be a situation where he's going to do his thing. But there, it's just been Dan Quinn. Now he can do that, but his team was in, so he technically can't do his in-persons until after divisional round as well. He did all of it. He's doing a lot of virtual ones. There's 5 virtual ones this round. He's doing all those because he's not going to Atlanta. I think all the other, I think Los Angeles, Tennessee, Washington, Carolina, I think they're all talking to Dan Quinn. I think you take that opportunity to talk to Dan Quinn. But Belichick has been circling Atlanta. The initial conversation, the moment he was available, was Belichick to Atlanta. Belichick to Atlanta. Belichick to Atlanta. Belichick to Atlanta. I've agreed with. I thought from the beginning, I like Frank Smith out of, I believe that's the offensive coordinator out of Miami. I believe he would have been a great fit with that amazingly young offense. They just need a veteran quarterback. Now, before I stepped away, I talked about how quarterbacking is going to be very important and how we're going to talk a little bit about free agency. We're not going to dive into second-tier offensive linemen needing to go to Tennessee or anything. We're not talking about in-depth analysis like that. That will come eventually at some point because we will get into the weeds on stuff, and we want to talk. When we get into the weeds, we want to stay in the weeds and then get out of the weeds. That's what we want to do. Um, Belichick circling Atlanta makes sense. Atlanta is the team that is probably the closest to win now than the rest of them that are available. Sincerely, they were close this year, but they need a quarterback. So immediately, the quotes coming out of Minnesota and specifically Kirk Cousins is, who would turn down the opportunity to play for Bill Belichick? As a rhetorical question, because he wouldn't. Kirk Cousins would play in Atlanta. Our Kirk Cousins led Atlanta Falcon team, if Cousins is healthy because he tore his Achilles, a healthy Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, they win 12 games next year. And they are the 2 seed in the playoffs. Mark it down today, the 19th of January at 9:49 at night, 50 minutes into a live stream here on The Real Deal in Sports. Cousins to Atlanta, they win 12 games. Mark it down. That offense is way too talented. Dalvin Cook succeeded incredibly well with Cousins as his quarterback. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, they would succeed. Kyle Pitts. Look what happened with TJ Hawkinson right away. Hawkinson came out of nowhere. And even, God, what the hell was, even the tight ends in Washington and even, Kyle Rudolph in Minnesota succeeded under Kirk Cousins. Belichick loves his tight ends. Kyle Pitts could suddenly, his 4th year in the league, 3rd year in the league, 3rd or 4th year in the league, I don't know which one it is, to double check. We could go to the go, but we're not going to do that. We're just not always going to go to the go when I want to figure something out. Yeah. Belichick to Atlanta makes a lot of sense, but Atlanta's doing their due diligence. They brought in Leslie Frazier before. I believe they did. They've brought in their coaches before to meet certain criteria for whatever, right? So, Dave Caldwell, David Shaw, Leslie Frazier. There was a lot of names that I'm like, why are they interviewing? Oh, wait, because they have to satisfy an arbitrary rule. Because they want to promote diversity and inclusion. Again, I'm not saying go woke, go broke, but the emphasis on diversity and inclusion is frustrating when the first teams off the board hired minority coaches. If they're the best coach, they'll get the job. I firmly believe that in anything and everything that I stand for, the best person should get the job. Plain and simple. Not rocket science. I don't even think Howard Wolowitz could mess this up. Watching a lot of Big Bang lately. In Los Angeles, the Chargers, they've done a lot of their first round interviews. They met with David Shaw. They've met with Leslie Frazier. They've done these things. They've met with Harbaugh. They talked to Belichick. Belichick to Atlanta makes a lot of sense. But I heard on Around the Horn, the other, part of the interruption between Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon, one of them stated that they wouldn't be surprised if Belichick went to Washington. Got me thinking, why would Belichick want to go to a team that has a failing offense, a tremendously porous defense? Why would he want to go there and coach for 4 years to try to get his 15 wins? Belichick needs 15 wins. He'll have that in not this year, not next year, excuse me, but the year after. If he goes to Atlanta, he'll get 9 wins next year, and then he'll get 10 wins the following year, and he'll get it. Bill Belichick will break the record by Don Shula next year. Not 24-25, but 25-26 season. I want to make that clear as well. Belichick to Atlanta gets him the wins. Now, Washington, what I've thought about, what I've talked about in previous videos and around this conversation, it's one of the bigger conversations within football other than just talking about matchups and players and what to expect from X, Y, and Z. This conversation is one of the bigger conversations because each day there's new information coming out that makes sense, that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Harbaugh is the trickiest nut to figure out. I really don't know what makes sense for Harbaugh. I just don't. Is it with Harbaugh? Is it Los Angeles? Is it something else? Jerry Jones missed the opportunity to get both of these guys. I don't think Harbaugh would have gone to Dallas. I don't think that's the gig he wants. He wants to go to somebody he's comfortable with, and that is the Spanos family. Probably by beginning of February, a couple weeks, I think Harbaugh will be in Los Angeles. I just believe that's what it is. We're going to dive into Packers 49ers a little bit more, and then talk about Ravens Texans and what we've seen in film and what we can expect to see tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening in these tremendously awesome divisional round games in the NFL playoffs. I really want to talk. Let's take a look at Houston and Baltimore. They played earlier this year. Baltimore won. Cool. Great. This ain't the same team. This is a team that's gained a lot of confidence. Nico Collins has emerged as a number one, as a true wide receiver one. Nico Collins needs to be taken in the first 5 rounds of fantasy next year. If he's not a top 50 pick, there's a lot of things wrong with your fantasy friends and the groups you're in because they don't understand football. Nico Collins and CJ Stroud have a great formation of a bond. Now, I don't believe a T. Higgins would be right there. I think T. Higgins wants wide receiver one money. I think T. Higgins will have to go to a situation that doesn't make a lot of sense, but not Houston. Houston is going to be rolling next year. Houston will win 12, maybe 13 games next year. Houston will be the team to beat in the AFC next year. Baltimore, they don't have Mark Andrews back. He was practicing, but he is not ready to come back. His ankle means he's still out. Isaiah Likely is the guy on Baltimore that you have to watch out for if you are Houston. Isaiah Likely can do some awesome things. And personally, I can't wait to see what Baltimore can do. Baltimore has had 2 great games against the 49ers and the Miami Dolphins. And Pittsburgh, right? Yeah, but Pittsburgh won, but they weren't playing. Tyler Huntley played. So 2 out of the last 3 games, they've played incredibly well, and they had a nice week off, get well rested. Lamar Jackson is speaking heavily on wanting to win a Super Bowl, so he has a lot of motivation. And motivation is a great transition to the 49ers and Packers game. I might have mentioned it earlier, but I want to mention it again for those swinging back around through this first time. We are 58 minutes into the stream. We're approaching that 1 hour mark here on The Real Deal in Sports. We are getting close to our final comments, but I want to get this point across here with the 49ers. The motivation, they feel cheated. Purdy got hurt last year in the NFC Championship game, a game they could have won. They should have won against Philadelphia. They have been playing all year with a chip on their shoulder, like, are we better than what we were last year? Brock Purdy was MVP conversation until week 17 when they completely crapped the bed against the Ravens. Purdy has everything he needs to win this game, but it's the other players that have the motivation. I think the defense is going to play with a lot more ferocity, and they will really get after Jordan Love and really make Jordan Love's life miserable on Saturday. I think Jordan Love, he's still a first-year quarterback. This isn't some, like, crafty Peyton Manning scenario. This is Jordan Love being a first-year starter and not getting hit in the face enough. Punch him in the face. See what happens. You gotta get those rebounds. Lakers up by 5 with 1:15 left in the first. My picks for Saturday between Houston and the Baltimore Ravens. In Baltimore, it's a little snowy. I think the weather is going to play just enough of a factor where I believe the running game of Baltimore with Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, along with Lamar Jackson running from the quarterback position, will do just enough. I think it'll be a 24-28. It'll be like a 28-21 game or 28-20, 28-17. Something along that line. I think Baltimore's going to score 4 times and Houston's going to score 3 times. Whatever combination of field goals and touchdowns that is, but I think it's going to be 4 scores to 3. And I think Baltimore is going to get to the AFC Championship game. We'll be hosting the following week, and we'll give them their matchup Saturday night, who they would be playing. Houston's good, but it's not their year. It's not. Santa Clara, Packers, Niners. We've heard this. This is a tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. Disney, come after me all you want. Let's go. Little Beauty and the Beast here because this game will be the Beauty against the Beast. The Beauty is the Green Bay Packers. They don't know what's going to happen when the Beast comes out and the 49ers punch him in the face. I think this will be a 5-score to 2-score game. I think it will be 31-13, 31-10, something to that effect. It will not be close. It will not be anything of the sort. I do believe Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey are going to have a standard Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey game. I don't think Green Bay's defense is equipped to handle what Christian McCaffrey can do. I don't think they can handle George Kittle over the middle. Jake Ferguson went 9 for 90 and 3 touchdowns. 9 for 90 and 3 touchdowns. George Kittle can do that with one arm behind his back. Debo and Ayuk are better than all the Cowboys receivers, as a Cowboys fan that hurts to say. And McCaffrey is light years ahead of Tony Pollard. Purdy needs to do what Purdy does, and the 49ers should win. And then we'll talk about their matchup, who they should expect to play in the NFC Championship game. We've made it to the end. We've done an hour tonight. It is a Friday here in Wisconsin on the Real Deal in Sport. I still can't do that right. It's flipped backwards. I'm trying to do that. Whatever. That's right. It is transition time. We are almost ready to transition this. Are you guys ready? I know I'm ready. We're gonna have another sip here, and then we will be ready to go into my favorite time of the day, and hopefully it's your favorite time of the day as well. I hope you're ready. This is What's the Deal? Boom! It is What's the Deal, ladies and gentlemen. The finest ending of a show comparative to Scott Van Pelt's One Big Thing. This hit me earlier this last hour. Why are all the former players hating so much on current players? It is all like, I understand the need for hot takes. I understand the need to get content out there to bring them to you, to get eyeballs on you. I understand that portion of it. I wasn't born yesterday. I understand how this works. The amount of former players that just don't get it is entirely frustrating. I'm talking LaShawn McCoy. I'm talking Cam Newton. I'm talking Robert Griffin III. I'm talking these players that just don't get it. They don't. Cam Newton goes on and on about how he's better than Dak Prescott. He's better than Dak Prescott. Why do you care? Why do you care? You won a goddamn MVP and you went to the Super Bowl. You got embarrassed by Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl, but you made it to the Super Bowl. You haven't been in the NFL in like 2 years. Because you have an ego larger than Eagle the Planet. Courtesy of Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Make sure you check it out. Hello, Star-Lord. Why does it matter? Why do you sit there and collect receipts and be like, I have 89, blah, blah, blah. You are so concerned with everybody getting your legacy right that your legacy is going to fail. I love Ocho Cinco. He doesn't dive into the hate. He doesn't back things up. He's Ocho. And everybody knows what you're going to get out of Ocho because he's Ocho. This is what he's been doing forever. He had a Hall of Fame jacket. He had the he's been doing this forever, and that's what Ocho does. Shannon Sharp has developed a very good base and this personality of Unc. He's Unc. He's Uncle Shannon. Like he just speaks that way. He's made a very good living for himself. Stephen A. Smith, he would play college ball way back in the day, but he played though. I don't have an issue with the old linemen like Damian Woody, Jeff Sager. I don't have an issue with these guys. Um, I have an issue with LaShawn McCoy though. Big issue with LaShawn McCoy. Shady. You had the worst part. I don't like to swear because I want everybody to listen to. You had the worst fucking ending of a career anybody could have. You disappeared off the goddamn planet when you forgot how to run a football. You got pushed off of every team because you weren't good. Newest flash. Water is wet. Cold is cold. And LaShawn McCoy, you lost every opportunity to be great because you were horrible. The worst of them all, though, and I swear to God, if I end up being coworkers with this guy, I will never apologize to him, but hey, man, I'm just trying to make a buck. I'm not monetized. I don't do anything like that. This isn't about the money. This is all about developing ideas, developing an endurance, being there, developing a skill set that I can utilize, that I can turn around and get somewhere to where I need to be. RG3. Robert Griffin III. You're in a week-long spat with your former coach. Great. You have done ridiculous act upon ridiculous act to gain attention to yourself. Because you want to be that guy, right? You want to be the guy that races Peregrine Falcons. You want to be that guy that does all these things. End of the Cowboy game, your first thought is, Deion Sanders needs to coach Cowboys. If you knew anything about football and anything about college football, which you cover, you are there on Saturdays, again, doing ridiculous thing after ridiculous thing with these teams to make yourself look like a fucking jackass. Why? Why? I can't stand you, dude. I can't. If I find you're on a broadcast, I click next. Hashtag thank you next. Hashtag Ariana Grande. Hashtag whatever. Hashtag Mark Wahlberg. Hashtag go Cowboys. Your first reaction after the Cowboys lose is, oh, we gotta get Deion in here. Every time you open your mouth, it's wrong. LaShawn McCoy, every time you open your mouth, you're wrong. Le'Veon Bell tried to make himself relevant. Kyrie Irving was on a hot streak, nobody's business in the NBA, but like Le'Veon Bell goes, I'll bet on the over and he'll be gone. Like, the conversation you hear, especially within circles of women, why do women put down other women, right? And then they talk about they want interaction similar to that of a ladies' bathroom at a nightclub or at a bar. Where you walk in there and if you're looking hot, another girl will be, oh my God, girl, you look great. Like all that stuff. So the conversation amongst women is, women, we can do better and build each other up. I have a hard time with this conversation talking bad about RG3, LaShawn McCoy, Le'Veon Bell, all these athletes, Cam Newton. Just shut the fuck up. If you are RG3, do your damn job. Provide analysis that makes sense. Do better research. Do better is all I'm saying. I'm not on Dan Orlovsky. Dan Orlovsky goes far out in left field. But then Dan Orlovsky goes to third base, and he does what he needs to do. Dan Orlovsky called it earlier this year that Jordan Love was going to be in the playoffs and Jordan Love was going to be great. He said this in the preseason. Dan Orlovsky got it right. I'm going to quote Jordan Belfort from Wolf of Wall Street. Don't judge me on my winners, but judge me on my losers because I have so few. I don't give a shit. Frankly, I don't give a shit about these former athletes going on these podcasts and whatever. It's like the only way they feel like they need to do something is to create a feud. Micah Parsons and Skip Bayless are going at it. Like, I love Micah. What he's doing with his podcast is great. I don't listen to podcasts. I don't do it. I'm doing live streaming. I'm throwing up on YouTube. If you want to watch them, you can watch them. If you don't, you don't. I don't really care. I don't. Again, this is practice. I'm just trying to figure out who I am as a person and to see if I can get my thoughts out intelligently. I've had it. Yeah. To ensure that it's a different voice. It's a different conversation to be had. It's different ideas. It's different thoughts. Now, I can appreciate different ideas and different thoughts. Like, right now, I believe Harbaugh is the favorite for the Chargers job. I believe Belichick is the favorite for Atlanta. I think Mike Vrabel will end up being the favorite, consensus favorite in Seattle. I do believe Dan Quinn will end up taking over the Washington Commanders. I believe the Commanders will look to Dan Quinn, who's been to a Super Bowl, by the way, and be like, what do you need to do? How can we do this? And Dan Quinn is going to go from there. I believe the Carolina Panthers should take a flyer out on a young head coach and give them the opportunity to grow the program. Simple thought process. These aren't abnormally wide-ranging takes. They're not crazy. They're not insane. Tennessee is the one that I'm still concerned about. Tennessee, I can see Pete Carroll going. I can see Pete Carroll taking the year off, though, also. Again, I'm not taking these wild... I'm not instantly saying, Deion Sanders to go. Deion Sanders, his hiring at Colorado forced the boosters to solicit more money to afford him. Colorado did not have the money for Deion's contract, and they had to seduce boosters to donate more money. The rich millionaire people, some with $50 million. Oh, we need a couple million. They donate $2 million. Oh, I got $48 million left. Yeah. Deion is fully committed to Colorado right now for at least another 2 years. I think Deion will do 3 years at Colorado and then end up leading a program like USC or leading a program. There's a bigger conversation to be had about the landscape of college football, and Chip Kelly said it best. If you want to know about college football, look up Chip Kelly, a press conference where he talks about realignment and how it should work. And I believe that's the best way to go about it. That's a whole nother topic. But right now, when Robert Griffin III says the shit he says after games, and it's just like, you're looking for a soundbite. I get it. Trust me, I get it. You want a soundbite and you want to make the rounds. You want to get a little bit more exposure. You want to get more impressions. You want to do those things. I understand that. It's RG3. I get it. LaShawn McCoy is on a fucking 8th-rate talk show that nobody freaking knows about on some godforsaken, was it FS4? Nobody cares about you, LaShawn McCoy. You hate the Cowboys. We get it. You played on the Eagles and you hate the Cowboys. Cool. You're not a Cowboys fan. Way not to hold prejudice. Way not to be professional about it. Uh-oh. What's this? Alright, cool. See if that brings anything. Cam Newton, though, got to me today. Cam Newton got to me. They were talking about how Dak has had a better career than Cam Newton. Objectively and fairly, it's not accurate. They've had two separate careers, two different types of careers. But what Cam Newton did, being like, oh, you didn't talk about the rushing yards. Talking about quarterbacking. What kind of quarterback play you have? Cam, you're a 220 passer, and Dak is a 280 passer. Two different types of players. Dak is going to throw the football. But throw touchdowns. Oh, yeah, he might have more passing touchdowns, but I have more rushing touchdowns. You are acting like a goddamn 5-year-old who is pissed off because his younger brother is doing something. I have kids and I see this fucking shit every day. You wear these stupid fucking hats. You dress the way you dress. You tweet in a fucking foreign ass language. Bro, your brand is shit. You were begging teams to give you a workout the last 2 years and nobody wants to. And there's a reason for that, Cam Newton. You done. You washed up. You done. Either be a positive influence on these young players or just stop. This goes to Kurt Schilling as well. Colby Covington. Goes to Cole Beasley today also. If your sole purpose with social media and your podcast to go out there and to take the most extreme side of any take to prove that you're better than everybody else, you want to be the villain? Okay, be the villain. Whatever. You're not going to get my vote for anything. You're not going to get my respect. You're not going to get my admiration in anything. If I ever got to the point where I had to interview Colby Covington, I'd decline. Be like, you know what? I'd rather not talk to Colby Covington. I don't think he'll give it. I'd sincerely say, I do not believe he'll add anything beneficial or educational to a conversation, and it would not be an intelligent conversation. Cole Beasley complaining about guys painting their fingernails. I had that conversation. I had that argument. I was in 7th grade because I'm gonna paint my nails black for the last football game, and they're like, oh my god. Are you that insecure with yourself that you're concerned about guys painting their fingernails? But yet you preach freedom in your medical decision. You can't have it both ways, bud. You can't. I'm sorry. If you want to preach freedom in medical, then you have to take the same step. Freedom of your body, it's your choice. Fine. Great. Again, this is hypocritical double standard. I hate to go political on stuff, but I'm upset and frustrated with how former players are trying to stay relevant. I believe LeBron James, when he retires in 3 years, he'll play 3 more years. He'll play this year and then 2 more years. He'll want to play 2 years with Bronny. I believe Bryce is 3 years out from being in the NBA. I think he's a junior this year. Then this is a junior, senior, and freshman year. So Bryce is 3 years ish until he gets into the NBA. Bryce and Bronny can play together, which would be cool. But I believe when LeBron comes out, he'll be Magic Johnson-esque. You don't see Magic Johnson talking shit about players and talking shit about himself. He goes out and he invests. He's a businessman. Shaq does not act a fool on stuff. Shaq is on network TV. Why? Because he's not a fucking asshole. 4.5 to go in the second. Lakers starting to run away with this. LeBron playing very well. Devin Booker dropped 50 tonight. That is his 6th career 50-point game. Good for Devin Booker. They beat the Pelicans. Not that impressive. Hawks beat the Heat by 1. Bam Adebayo had a great game. Tyler Hero dropped 25 for the Heat. I bet you Devontae Murray played very well for the Hawks. Didn't Devin do Miles Turner with 14 and 6 so far. Buddy Hield with 12. Blazers are beating the Pacers though. That's something in itself as well. That's at halftime. So we just went through the scores. It is a 10-point game with 4:30 left in the second. Lakers are starting to pull away there in bonus as well. I just don't see like the action out of the Nets. Unfortunately, I understand where some of these players are. They're in their late 30s, right? Shady's late 30s, Cam's late 30s. They're around my age a little bit older than me. I'm 35. They're trying to stay relevant. They're trying to hold on to any semblance of, oh, I'm great. Cam fucking Newton, though. Like, bro, why? It's called being a teammate and being a leader. You're neither of those. You threw a hissy fit at the post game press conference of the Super Bowl. You threw a hissy fit and you weren't there and you left. Well, Sean McCoy, you held out. Le'Veon Bell, you screwed yourself, buddy, by demanding more money. My goodness, if I understand financially, you want to get compensated for how you play. Excuse me. The lack of intelligence in all this stuff right now is so insanely frustrating. What is the what? What's the damn deal with it? What are you trying to prove as a former athlete, as a former professional athlete? Excuse me. Um, Former, record holders and all these things, league leaders, things like that. Why are you so concerned? Like, I understand talking point. Again, I'm repeating myself here, but I really want to make it known for anybody who watches this. This is an hour and a half long. I want you to get your money's worth. I want you to get your time worth. The idea that Cam Newton knows more than anybody else. He is called writers hacks because they weren't in the trenches. Fuck you, dude. Who made you the fucking gatekeeper of who can ask questions or not? I played football. Played 4 years of football. Coached in college level, Division three, collegiate level. I coached. I've been involved in football for years. I've been involved in high school wrestling for years, high school baseball for years. I have been actively coaching and volunteering for years on the sports side. I've played basketball. I've wrestled. I've been to high. I've done high. I've done anything and everything resembling a sport. I've played or coached in at some level. So don't come at me. Like, my resume isn't NFL or Division One football. I get that. I understand that resume. But I've played every sport you could think of, and I've coached just about every sport you could think of as well. I've volunteered, I've officiated, I've umpired, I've done everything when it comes to sports. 5 years ago, I had a massive stroke, and that spark is gone. So now I talk. Instead of coach and volunteer, now I talk. Because I want to impart my wisdom, the knowledge that I have of my 35 years in sports, to other people who might enjoy it. Cam Newton offense, it's a low bar argument. It's a low bar insult. It is the stupidest way to insult people who work for a living. To be like, oh, what would it be? Like going up to a welder and be like, you ain't a real welder. You've never done underwater welding. That's the real welding. No, it's still welding. Going to somebody sells. You ain't a real salesman. You've never sold computer products. You don't know what it is. But still sales. There are people who know more about this game than you do because they've studied it every day for the last 40 years. Now, it's a dangerous tangent to fall into on the media side, and I'm not going there. Not tonight. Not ever, probably. There are things I see that I question. But when Cam Newton is questioning, you're not in the trenches. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, Cam. I know what you're talking about. When Jason and Travis Kelsey were talking about, when Jason was going on his rant about the 0-3-I to all that stuff, the positioning on the line of the defense and where how they're shaded, I understood it. I knew exactly what he was talking about. I can call out formations when they're happening for the most part, sometimes. But every coach calls their formations different. We did a lot of black and brown and blue. Didn't do a lot of blue, but a lot of black. Black was regular I formation. We do a black right where the tight end was on the right side. So if you want to talk about formations and stuff and you want to be a dick, Cam Newton, and talk NFL stuff, cool. I'll just let you be like, you're a dick. Yeah, I never played professionally. But you know what though? I know with the I formation what we can do out of it. I know that you can bring motion across. You can take the split end, bring motion across on the other side of the tight end to where now you have an unbalanced side. You can go unbalanced and put just a guard on the side of the. You just have the guard on the left side of the center. You move the tackle to the right, report him as eligible, and then you have your tight end next to the guard with nobody covering the tight end, and the tight end is still eligible, having an unbalanced line. A jumbo formation, inverted wishbone. I can talk football because I've played football for years. I've coached football for years at a high school and collegiate level. I've done that. That's fine. When you call out journalists who clearly love the game in a fan perspective, why? Don't be a dick. It's really not that hard, and the conversation behind it is very simple. Don't be a dick. It's not my fault you're frustrated or you're upset that you're not playing in the playoffs right now. I don't know why Cam Newton is upset. I don't know why he is challenging anybody and everybody on anything, anywhere, anytime, every place. There's no need for it. Not in sports media. Um, the scolding hot takes, I get it. Again, people want to get the sound bites and they want people to come to them and they want to get impressions. They want to be good for brands, so brands can be like, oh, do it. Oh, by the way, this is brought to you in part by shoving product in your face. You want to know why I don't listen to podcasts? You want to know why? Okay. I started listening to podcasts with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Talk is Jericho with Chris Jericho with wrestling because that's what I was into when I was younger. I hated it. The first 20 minutes was Chris Jericho being, oh, this is brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. Make sure you check out the Dollar Shave Clubs to ensure that the Dollar Shave Club gets to you and your friends. Make sure you include the code Talk is Jericho to receive 10% off your next week's delivery of whatever. It'd go on for like 20 minutes. Oh, make sure you check out McAfee's Zero Line of Defense. And while you're signing up for McAfee, make sure you enter in the code Talk is Jericho to receive 10% off. $20 years ago, when this stuff was starting in 2004, 2003, there were podcasts. Talk is Jericho was one of them. He did his interviews, and that's what it was. I listened to Talk is Jericho when I was in high school all the time. Loved it, and I thought podcasts were the coolest thing back in the day. Not everybody does it, and I'm just sitting here like I don't want to have a podcast, so it's not a podcast. We're live streaming. Will this eventually be a podcast? Sure, I can pop this out in an MP4 format and upload it to Spotify or some shit. Could easily do that, easily. I'm not going to though. It's not going to. We've been going for an hour and a half tonight. What's the deal? Why do former athletes hate so much? My final thought is just don't be a dick. Just don't. If you're frustrated or upset about something, grow up. That's what I tell people on the internet when they're pissed off. Just grow up. Is it really that upsetting? Is it that frustrating for you? Is it? It's not. Just don't be that way. Big games on Saturday. To catch you guys up, we will be live streaming tomorrow night, Saturday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time here on The Real Deal in Sports. We will be talking about the two games that were played. We'll be going over a little bit in review, a little bit in detail regarding some big plays, some not big plays, and to what to expect in the conference championship games next week. Then I'm doing a pre-playoff, a pre-preview of these games to see where we're sitting and what to expect for Sunday's games as well. That is kind of the big picture for tomorrow night. We'll be coming into you live at around 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. I'd like to get on a little early, like 8:55, 8:50-ish. But we stick to about 9 o'clock Central Standard Time for our show here. The Real Deal in Sports, where we talk about everything sports related. We're focusing heavily on football right now. It is the biggest thing going. Divisional round playoffs start tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Great games on ESPN and Fox. Make sure you check out your local listings to make sure that you have those games. If you are streaming, make sure you get your Hulu Live, YouTube Live, and everything in between. For a Spectrum customer, get your Spectrum. Make sure you have that stuff ready to go so you do not miss a moment of these games. These will be great games. We have Niners-Packers at 7:15, and at 3:30 we will have Ravens and Texans going on, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Sunday's games tomorrow night as well. Diving into more detail between Chiefs-Bills and then Lions-Buccaneers. So we'll be diving into those tomorrow. Make sure you check us out. We'll have a new One Big Thing topic. Not sure what it's going to be yet at this point, but we have plenty of time to figure one out. Make sure you enjoy, and if you have any fun, make sure you questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, hopes, and ideas, dreams, and all those things. Right here, spinning in the corner has been our socials. We're on Twitch at the TRDS Show, YouTube, The Real Deal in Sports. Check us out there. Videos get uploaded afterwards. Email if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Again, realdealinsports@gmail.com. Don't forget that in part of there. And then we're on X at the TRDS Show. Check us out there. We let everybody know what's going on. And Twitch is twitch.tv/the TRDS Show. Feel free to leave comments. Please let us know how we're doing, what we can do to do better, what we can do to do worse. I don't know why you'd want us to do worse, but go with what you feel. We support you in any way we can. This has been The Real Deal in Sports. My name is Nathan. It is 10:30 on a Friday night. Have fun. Be safe tonight, everybody. And as always, until next time.